Hello, I'm Super Orange Cat. Here I am with some Toonami news. Last night it was announced via Toonami's Facebook page that they will be rerunning last week's episode of My Hero Academia in the leadoff slot. Now, and this was something I had kind of expected, and I'd said a few days earlier that Thursday was probably the threshold day for if they're going to announce if the new episode was coming this week, they were going to have to announce it then. And they did make the announcement. However, the announcement was that the episode is not ready. However, they do specify it will be ready by next week. So this will be a temporary 1 week thing for the time being. However, this is still ultimately just not a good look for the block. Now, to give fairness, I will quote verbatim here the exact announcement that Toonami made on their Facebook page when they made the announcement about this rerun. Heads up, My Hero fans. Due to everything going on, this week's episode of My Hero Academia will be a rerun of episode 85 this Saturday night at midnight. Don't you worry. Episode 86 will premiere next Saturday. Plus, Toonami's serving up a whole action-packed lineup this and every weekday night from midnight to 3. Well, they make it sound exciting, but really it's just half reruns. And the half rerun, and what makes it funnier is that we've had periods where Toonami's had multiple reruns on the block at the same time, especially back when it was like a 6-7 hour block. However, the reruns this time are in the front half of the block. That's what makes it amazing, because usually when it's like you're scheduling around with multiple reruns, with only exception being I think when they tried rerunning Dragon Ball Kai at the start of the block at one point, is that okay, we'll just throw the reruns at like right at the graveyard slot, right late in the night, late in the block, and fewer people are watching anyway. However, it's just so weird. It's just like, well, we're gonna rerun an episode that aired last week at midnight, follow that with a 15-year-old rerun, albeit to give them credit, it's not a rerun of Toonami, it's a rerun of a show that aired on Adult Swim Action, but the same nonetheless, same channel. Then you have a rerun of season 1 of Mob Psycho 100 at 1 a.m. And then you have Black Clover, which Toonami hates for some weird reason. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Golden Wind, which Toonami hates for some reason. And then Shippuden, who's basically a glorified rerun. So if you at least play by the rules that that's a rerun, then 2/3 of the block are reruns right now, which is just horrendous to think of right now, for the block. Ultimately, this actually is not unprecedented. I think we've had at least one time I can think of on the top of my head where we had an episode rerun the following week, and that was way back in last March when Sword Art Online Alicization had that glitch happen mid-episode, and they had to pull that episode, so they had to re-air that episode, and then I believe a couple weeks later they had to air back-to-back episodes of Sword Art Online to kind of catch up. So this isn't exactly unprecedented, but at the same time, it's not the best look for Toonami. However, I've been reading around what people's response to this is, and I found a pretty interesting tidbit someone mentioned how this might actually kind of be a silver lining. It's like, if this rerun does poorly, if people just tune out, then that's going to discourage Toonami from putting reruns of My Hero Academia at the start of the block when the season ends in a few weeks. An interesting note, too, because like I'm calling it, too, is that they're going to rerun My Hero Academia probably from the start of season 4, somewhere in the block when season 4 here ends in a few weeks. And it's going to be better for the block if that's pushed later in the block rather than earlier. And we've had precedent before of My Hero Academia reruns being late in the block, so I mean there's something there to point at. But overall, I mean, at this, like early in the year, you had one of the strongest blocks Toonami's ever had with like recency, because a lot of people I saw somewhere someone posted back then that like how most of these shows were only like 2 or 3 weeks off of their sub debut. And I was just so impressive. And he had like big name titles too. Like you had My Hero Academia, of course. You had premiering stuff like Mob Psycho. You're premiering Sword Art Online, which although a lot of people like to hate on Sword Art Online, it's a big name and people watch that show regardless. And you had Attack on Titan at one point too. Like you had this stacked block. And then now you're stuck down to 3 hours, half reruns of a show that aired last week, a show that's 15 years old and is not really rating well, a show that really didn't rate well in its initial run that you're rerunning, Black Clover, which Toonami's never really going to get the light of day to. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which has a very devout but small fan base. And then you have Shippuden, which, I mean, it's basically a rerun. I mean, that debuted on like streaming services in the US like 5, 6 years ago. I mean, it's not new. But nonetheless, I mean, what do you guys think? What do you think the future of Toonami is? What's your opinions on Toonami's decision to just simply rerun last Saturday's episode on the block? Leave your opinions, leave your comments down below. I love reading them. If you like this content, if you want more Toonami news content like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Super Orange Cat, and that is all.